Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, actually, and welcome back to Vaesen Behind the Masks. We are back once again with Sharon, Blake, and Jim, who are joining us on a little excursion to the island city of Venice. Where we left it last week. Who's doing what?
We got back from the Plague Island,
and
we sort of rested overnight.
Well, no, actually, you haven't quite rested. You've come back and Bennett pretty much immediately got stuck into that box.
That's right.
And Agatha went straight into some research. I don't know what you're doing.
That makes two of us.
That's awesome.
I've got notes for everything else.
Didn't you connect to some spirit at the table?
Yes, you did some automatic writing.
Yeah,
you did.
and the spirits want to rest. There's a lot of ghosts that want to rest. It's like, well, big shock.
You roll the one.
That's all right. At least some of them are peaceful and just want to rest rather than murder us.
Yeah.
Because there's a big queue for that already.
It's getting ever longer.
Yeah. But last week, we discovered that something was released from said box.
Yes.
Released?
Or there had been something in said box.
It had been. Now, whether something was released, perhaps we don't know that. But yes, there was something in the box. The box has been busted open. A box that was hidden in the altar stone of a derelict chapel on a plague island.
Because that's not at all suspicious and creepy.
No, it's not. It's all puppies and sunshine here. All right, so who wants to do what? You could also go to sleep, given it's probably in the wee hours of the morning by now, or very late at night.
After, doing her research onto the sect, I suppose you'd call it, of who was related to our plague island and who was still around who might have an understanding or recollection of the sect on the plague island, Agatha is going to bed. And she's going to go bright and early to visit the Church of the Nazarene.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Bennett pretty proud of himself for putting this box together.
Happy New Year.
Well then, choose to also some rest.
Quick check on doors and windows, make sure they haven't been tampered with and they're all lockable, and then go to bed.
Okay. Cock-a-doodle-doo. It's morning. Artemis is, as usual, in the kitchen making breakfast for everyone. Coffee's on the hob. There's the sound of bustle in the kitchen. 'Tis another day at the office.
Wolf down some breakfast and then head out.
Seems we all have things outside of the villa to be... check the newspaper headlines first.
Newspaper headlines.
To see if our friendly, dark, masked plague man has made yet another appearance, and if another plague-ridden body has
Popped up?
Popped up. Because those seem strangely connected.
While Victoria's pretty good at getting newspapers, he can't get them every day. And today is one of those days where he wasn't successful in obtaining one. Perhaps they don't print one every day. They might print one every 2-3 days, especially English language newspapers. You're certainly getting au fait with Italian, but even that's not giving you any information.
Well, head through the market to the Church of Nazarene and listen to gossip on the way then.
Onwards.
Onwards.
Okay.
Can't get gossip one way, gotta get gossip another.
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure if Agatha or Severino have seen the box put back together, so in case I didn't show it to them last time, I will show it again to see if they recognize any of the sort of iconography on it.
I can't think of why I would. I could roll, I guess. But
yeah, I think Agatha might have a chance.
Give me a roll then.
Learning?
Yeah. Severino?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Do it.
But you tried.
He's sort
Agatha.
of stuffing toast in his mouth.
one success. Well done. Okay, so just to
He is
recap.
the minister's daughter.
Yeah, but Protestant saints are a
Yeah.
problem.
Oh.
Makes it a bit hard. Okay, so what I can tell you, and maybe this will lead you into another direction. The box was obviously used to house something. It is a box with a lid, and it's hollow inside. Something was in there. The iconography on the box is very Catholic Church. Lots of, the typical crosses and doves and all, olive branches and all that sort of iconography that you expect. There's a couple of other creatures on it that's interesting. And Agatha, you would know this. A lot of saints have particular iconography ascribed to them. So in this particular case, there's a hind. There's an image of a deer with a fawn underfoot. So, okay, you're looking at a hind. There's that arrow that's etched into the wood carving as well. And of course, the iconography of a saint praying over someone with a leopard spell. Do with it what you will.
Any idea who the saint is?
You're going to have to poke that one, probably in the library perhaps, or speak to a priest.
Well, she's already established that the church on the island was part of the Nazarene order, so she's going to talk to the local Nazarene order.
Okay. Hold that thought. Jim, go.
I think Bennett will, succeeding to Agatha's, experience in this particular field, he will follow her like a lost lamb today.
You don't want to go see Father Dearest?
Not particularly.
You don't want to go walking through the city on your own?
No, that's my job.
I think Bennett's at his foolish activity capacity for the week. So, but he will ask about, there's the deer and the fawn, and there's the arrow etching. So as we walk, like Bennett will just sort of theorize: is there some sort of connection to the hunt, to man's dominance of beast, or something like that?
Do not think good doctorate has anything to do with Diana. And we shall inquire and make a donation at the church.
Cool. Severino, what say you?
I'm going for a wander through the city. I'm just going to check out like 3 different markets, get some paper and pencils and pens and stuff. Deliberately wandering all over the place. I'm going to backtrack a couple of times. Basically, his paranoia is getting the best of him, so he's going to get out. And if he's being watched or followed, he's hoping to notice, and it's just making himself a target for a while. Because he can't sit home anymore, he has to do something. So he's just wandering around the city, hoping they'll either attack him or slip up and he'll notice them first or something.
Who's they, pray tell?
Everyone. Yes.
I think my psychological torments work too well. Okay, so...
Well, no, Umbra's been nervous and saying our enemy is near, our enemy has found us and stuff, and it's been in his head for days, so he's like,
Yes.
oh, fine, he'll give him a chance to come and find him, but it's going to be away from these lot and the villa.
But do you know what Umbra's enemy is?
Kind of. But I'm also expecting that Order of the Black Rose people as well, because they antagonized us and then I antagonized them back, so, we're making friends.
Yes, you are.
But they can come at me out in the city, or nothing can happen and I'll just get some stuff.
Okay. All right, I'll work with you first. It's cold. It's almost Christmas time by now. We're on December the 21st. So it's, you're in the dead cold of winter. But Christmas is approaching and Venice is kind of alive with people despite the cold. They're all just rugged up with their hats and their cloaks and shawls.
Okay.
Yeah, but the city is, people are moving around, they're bustling
All right.
here, there, and everywhere. The markets are busy.
I might grab a couple of belts
Yeah,
as like presents, like one for Jim, one for Vittorio, and then like a couple of scarves. So one for Agatha and one for Artemisia, because I can easily shove them in my pack if I have to run like hell.
sure. Yeah, well, you can find the leathersmith. That's not a problem at all. And you get some beautifully tooled belts, scarves, hand woven.
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty on offer. After all, 'tis the season. Yeah, you can find everything that you want. You are successful in getting your pens and papers and
Yep.
markers.
Woohoo! One at shopping.
Didn't even have to roll for it. But I will make you roll for an observation if you'd be so kind.
Okay. 1.
Yep. So you spend the day, well, you spend the morning at least walking around, and every now and then, not every now and then, quite frequently, your eyeballs get drawn up to the sky and then your head crans up. That's not you in operation right there.
Oh, bugger.
That's Umbra. He keeps looking up and he's twitchy and he's...
All right. Well, to ease that, every now and then I'll sort of go to an alley, lean against a wall, and have a good look up so I can sort of facilitate easing his paranoia. I say he is in a loose term. And yeah, see if there's something there or not.
No, there isn't.
All
But
right. Cool.
he will talk to you and you hear his raspy little voice inside your head.
Why are you not afraid?
I'm less afraid out here than I am when I'm cornered. Out here, there are a lot of places I can go.
The Harbinger is a creature of the outdoors.
This is a city, though. I know the city better than it, I'm guessing.
True, it's a rural spirit, but still, it seeks us. It knows we're here somewhere. Do you remember that eagle?
Yes. Yeah, the pixies went bunter at it. Just, yeah.
That eagle was possessed, just like you are, by one of the agents of the Hybergeist. He is looking for me and is getting closer. He knows we're here.
No, anyone messes with us, I will put them down hard. That's not an issue. But I'd rather do it here than in the villa where we're cornered.
Umbra laughs.
You put down a demon. Do the smart thing and run.
No, but you've given me some ideas for something to research. Also, let's stay closer to Agatha. She seems to be good with churchy, holy stuff. I've got no idea. You know, he's aware Umbra's probably a bit underwhelmed with him, but it's shit I've always got to deal with. So I'll make my way home, but checking I'm being followed or not.
You are not being followed, neither by man nor by creature.
Not trying hard enough. Okay, cool.
Once you reach the villa, Umbra relaxes and you it's not a full relaxation, but it's certainly the edge gets taken off.
Don't you feel safer here?
Okay.
It's protected. He can't get us here.
Yeah, but we can't hide here forever. But, yeah, okay.
You kind of see Umbra going,
Okay. Yeah. He, question mark, has given me food for thought anyway. And I'll try and find whoever's there and have some lunch.
all right, so we'll get back to that shortly. Agatha and Bennett, you are making your way through the Venetian crowds, doing their Christmas shopping and heading to the church.
So heading to the church, and as Agatha does with any impediment in her way, throws money at it.
It's worked for you in many respects, I guess. So, let's keep this thing rolling. So you walk into the church, you both walk into the church, and it's a small church, old one. Windows are quite small. Gives you an idea that this church is probably one of the very early ones in this city. It's austere. It's very utilitarian. It's just a little quaint church. There's incense hanging heavy in the air, the sort of thing that gives you a throbbing headache at the back of your eyeballs. There's a priest talking to someone by the altar, just very quietly, having a chat with someone up there.
So Agatha will put coins in the collection box and light a candle and wait politely for the father to acknowledge them.
The moment your coins rattle inside that box, it kind of gives you the eyeball. Okay. And when he can extricate himself from the conversation he's having with a layperson, he'll walk up to you both, and his hands are serenely held in front of him, in front of the cassock. Good morning. Buongiorno, signora. Thank you for your generosity.
Good morning, Father.
I've not seen your face. Not to you there, and to you. I have not seen either of you here. Are you new to town?
We reside in the villa. I can never pronounce this right, so.
Yep, that's
Insert
fine.
it correctly.
Square brackets title here.
Fanelaria.
Fanelaria. I know.
Fanelaria. I hash it every time. So the villa.
Fanelaria, if I want to bogan it.
Fanelaria.
There we go.
Are you new here? So how did you know?
She'll say you have a lovely church here. It's very close to its roots. Quite lovely.
Yes, she's an old dame, but she's a noble one.
Yes, I believe that she has a long history. My nephew here is a doctor who is very, very interested in the history of medicine, and particularly the history of those who look after the sick, such as the plagued and the lepers. And we believe that your church, or those related to your church, have a long history of that in Venice.
Yes, that's not unreasonable to suggest such a thing. How can I help you?
Well, my nephew, he's quite shy, I'm afraid. He doesn't do well speaking
at this
people.
point, I think Bennett's been looking up at the ceiling because he's trying to see if he can find more of that iron sort of pattern that was in the other chapel. Is there any of that here? So the crisscross supports that the other chapel had?
No, there is not.
And the iconography of the deer with a fawn underfoot, was that on the box or on the chapel?
That was on the box. Do you want to give me an observation roll?
Sure. Actually, investigation.
Oh, that one. Sorry, I always get the two confused. Because you're using your eyeballs to look for something.
Yeah. I know. I always remember because I don't have any empathy, so I'm terrible at observation. One success.
Funny you mention that fawn and the arrow, because you see traces of that same iconography built into the church you're standing in.
So Bennett will ignore whatever it is Agatha is trying to build up here, and because he's not been paying attention to any of it, and he goes, "What is this?" He points to an etching of the deer. He goes, "I've not seen this before in any churches in Venice."
So he was talking to Agatha, he was starting to explain the history, and then you randomly insert this question. He just stops and follows your eye line. Oh, that is the sigil of St. Giles of the Lepers.
Giles.
Oh, well, that would explain why it has caught my nephew's eye. He is
Pet
very,
care?
very interested, and we have come to ask you about the island of the lepers and its history and related with the church there. As I said, he is very interested in the history of medicine and particularly the history of the treatment of the poor and the downtrodden, so the plagues and the lepers and other such
In an academic
poorly,
sense.
poorly afflicted.
Look, see, it's no one's ever asked me these questions before. So what is it exactly you want?
He's just interested in the history of those who, being a doctor himself, he is interested in the history of those who minister to the sick and the poor.
Okay.
It's doctors have often, no disrespect to my nephew, but doctors have often only administered to the wealthier amongst us, and we know that the church is often left to, well, take up the slack, and your church has been so devoted to this. We have heard nothing but good things in your continued work,
Yes.
and she'll
very
press
de-
more coins into his hand and go, and please, Father, your work is so important.
Yeah, so very devoted, drops a coin into the box, and charitable, unlike those hoity-toity doctors, Bennett says, with a grimace on his face.
So of course, I'm more than happy to help you. You've been absolutely most generous. St. Giles of Lepers. He's the patron saint of people with disabilities, but also invoked for childhood fears, convulsions, depression. He was born in France, so he's particularly well known in France, but he's still well known in most of Europe. As you can see, yes, the heart and the arrow, so the hind and the arrow is his emblem. So you're very astute with that, Doctor. In terms of his connection with the Plague Island, I believe the chapel on that island was consecrated in his name because of his association with lepers as well. It made sense to have a church in his name on that island for that reason.
You keep any records of from the times of the plague and of the island?
Some, a lot were destroyed, especially when the church fell into disrepair on the island. A lot of it was destroyed, condemned because it was believed to be contaminated with miasma. But some has survived. Would you like to see it?
I would be overjoyed to have a chance to peruse such significant holy relics, such as those documents. Winks to Agatha.
Both come with me. And he will take you back out through the nave and through the presbytery, is it? There's an archive section where he'll take you through. There's not much in it. It's old, it smells musty. There are I won't say lots of books. There are like massive books, like huge books, and they're all in various stages of rot, if you will. So you can open one up and it basically just tells you by parish, births, deaths, marriages, any sort of large donations or major historical things, as well as ordinary rite of passage stuff. You can find a book for the island itself. One has survived. It's in very poor condition though. You open it up and you can flick through pages of it and you just see name, age, cause of death, plague. And it's just page after page after page. And there's like almost 50 names to a sheet. You turn it over. And before that, there's a bit of leprosy as well. And But you know when the plague waves come, because from leprosy it goes all to plague, and then leprosy comes back into vogue, and then there's plague. So it's quite a morbid document, if you will.
This is fascinating, Father. Has anybody else come and asked about any of this? Shown any interest on the island or St. Giles?
No, I can't say that anyone else has that I'm aware of.
Have you
Okay.
heard the latest gossip from the market, Father? I mean, of course, we hold no such superstition, but the old
Go-
women there are gossiping about a spirit that has somehow perhaps been released from the island and is plaguing us all. Such silly nonsense, of course.
Of course, and I would expect a learned woman like you not to partake in such things as spiritless gossip. It's
Of course not.
idle hands, remember?
Of course not, Father, but folklore is always so interesting, especially for the academic type, such as my young nephew here, who is interested in all mentions of the plague.
Yes, what is your take on this masked gentleman that's being seen at night?
I don't know if it's a man or some sort of restless spirit. If it's a man, I can only hope that Caballero will find him. If it's a spirit, I hope it's laid to rest soon. Do remember, though, that the good book tells us that we must pray for such things, and that there is nothing it can't protect you against.
You are quite right, Father, and we shall definitely.
Didn't
you can
seem to do these gentlemen much good. Bennett says, going through the list of names. Do you think they didn't pray hard enough, perhaps?
He kind of,
what?
his back stiffens up, and he.
Hey, Bennett's still in a bad mood.
No shit.
My young nephew jests, and she'll like.
I
Just one of
cannot
my
tell
witty
you.
barbs, I suppose.
I cannot tell you why God calls those that he does. He just does. When it's your time, it's your time. However hard you pray will not save you from his designs.
Well, as they say, God must have been missing an angel and needed another one.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure I bought a Hallmark card with that sentiment on.
Well, we do thank you for your time, Father. It has been very interesting to discover the long history of medicine that the parish has undertaken. I'm sure that we'll provide my young nephew here with much fodder for his research.
Yes, actually, just on that. Does St. Giles have any, what they'd be called, relics or symbols associated with him? Is there anything precious associated with him that would be kept here in Venice or on the island?
Pauses for a second, and his forehead furrows as he thinks. He's thinking really hard. You can almost see the gears grinding as he's sifting through decades of knowledge and rumor and all sorts of things. I see to remember a tale that there might have been a reliquary of St. Giles brought to Venice. Much of that information escapes me. This is something I think I heard in passing, an errant suggestion, but yes, I do believe there was a reliquary brought to Venice in maybe the 14th century when the island was formalized and that church consecrated.
Okay. Yes, thank you for humoring me and answering my questions as my auntie said. I'm truly fascinated in the works of St. Giles and the work the church did to lepers. Unless you have anything else, I think I'm
Yeah,
Venerable.
no. She's just gonna press more money into his hand to get rid of all the faux pas that Bennett has just made.
Yes.
Suggesting that, people were perhaps not godly enough. Dude. Yes.
Cool.
And thank the father profusely for his time.
Mhm.
And depart.
No, he puts himself across the door. You shall not pass. No.
Roll for initiative.
No, I won't do that to you. It's tempting as it is.
Yeah, I mean, Bennett, as soon as that step outside of the church, Bennett will say, a reliquary. That must be what I put back together, what we took from the church. But whatever was in there is missing.
Yeah, it does seem to be so, Doctor.
It's interesting how the history of Vaesen seems to be getting muddled up with the church here. I'm not sure yet what the connection is, but if there's some way to find out what could have been inside, could have been brought here, that's something that I'm curious to look into.
Yes, I do believe that we may need to speak to perhaps someone outside of the church, someone with a more historical interest. And Venice doesn't have a university, does it? No,
Does
but
now.
yeah, it doesn't at this period, but it
don't
would
think it does.
have scholars, or at least religious scholars.
Yes.
So, I'm going to use my learning ability to know something about the place, to know who a prominent religious scholar is, and I just rolled 2 successes because
You did just roll 2
because I
successes.
did accidentally.
You go to the cathedral and you speak to the head of the church, of the cathedral, who's not the bishop, or it's just someone who helps run the cathedral. And they will tell you, yes, go see Gianluca Messi. He'll be able to help you. He's a theologian. He understands a lot of this, a lot of the ecumenical aspects that you may be looking into. He's over and he'll give you directions to a little house just a few streets away.
Well, it is time to go pester the academic about St. Giles. Hey, dude, have you heard of a reliquary?
Your day involves quite a lot of walking and talking to people.
One must always find that people are the greatest resource one has. You would best be served, Doctor, by becoming a little less shy and perhaps awkward in conversation. Although it does take time.
In the meantime, I shall allow you to bridge the gap.
So yes, you go across and arrive at this little house. The directions seem to be all correct. So yeah, you're outside Gianluca's house.
Who am I this time? What exactly is our reason for being here? Or are we just going to go for his curiosity?
You are still my young nephew who is very interested in the history of the plague and ministering to the poor. It seems to have worked very well with the minister and doctor. It is not very far from the truth. You are very interested in the plague and ministering to those much less fortunate than us, as I'm sure many of young ladies of Venice can attest.
Right, very well. Well, yes, yeah, eloquence is undeniable. Let us see how this one goes.
You knock on the door and it opens up fairly quickly, and there's this man. He's probably in his late 40s. He's white shirt. There's a vest, pants. Thank God. His hair looks a bit ruffled, like he hasn't properly combed it. But he looks at you. Oh, good day.
Agatha is going to completely play up the idea that she is somehow chaperoning this young doctor around because he is incapable of doing it himself. Ah, good morning, kind sir. We have been directed to you as one who is knowledgeable in the history of the Church of the Nazarene and of St. Giles and his miracles.
Ah, a fellow theologian, are you? And he looks at you, Bennett.
Oh,
I think Bennett actually accidentally is really leaning into this incapable of talking for himself thing, because I think he's having a bit of a deja vu of knocking at the door and the old man answering sort of disheveled. And I think Bennett's kind of gone white and is just like it's only connected as this old man's answered the door, and he's not going to say a single word. He is gone right now. He does not respond.
I am afraid my young nephew is just awfully shy. He is, however, a very capable doctor and historian who is interested very much in the history of the church and the treatment of the poor and the unfortunate that have been often so neglected by doctors of his caliber, especially pertaining to within the city itself, the history of the treatment of the lepers and poor, downtrodden, plague-ridden on the island here.
Yes, look, come in. Get out of the cold. It's
And
Can
of
I-
course, season's greeting to you, kind sir.
Thank you, and to you. Can I get you anything to eat, drink? This is heavy stuff, so I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, and I think
No, please, let me have a seat. I'll make teas.
that's good, Doctor. Your house service is amazing.
He is a good boy. Shy, but a very good boy.
So, the Church of St. Giles. What do you wish to know? You're correct. It is part of the Order of Nazarene. And you did mention the plague. So, yes, as you no doubt are aware, that Giles was one of the 14 Holy Helpers, the only non-martyr, interestingly, and usually invoked as protection against the Black Death. So, he is very closely tied to the plague. He is the patron saint of those suffering from it.
Yes, and well, of interest, I suppose, to the current populace of Venice, with the rumours such of the plague returning, and well, I'm sure that you have also heard the gossip of the black man who haunts the streets.
Yes, interesting creature, isn't it?
But my young nephew, of course, is more interested in the historical and the ministering of those and the miracles performed by the reliquary that was kept in the Church of St. Giles.
Ah, a reliquary.
Yes, do you know anything of this reliquary? It's been mentioned in passing, and no one has been able to tell us what miracles other than it is related to assistance of the plague, and of course.
Hmm. Do you know what a reliquary is, young lady? And sir?
Oh, young lady, you do flatter me, kind sir. Of course, a reliquary is often something that contains something that was personal to the saint, their bones or their hair or their blood or, well,
Very good. You are correct.
Yeah, at this point, like Bennett brings out like the teas, and like it's like shaking in the saucer as he sort of puts it down as he's trying to control his nerves. And then he'll sort of stand behind Agatha, keep listening.
oh, sit down, Theodore.
Gianluca starts to talk, and after a moment, he gets up and he leaves the room, but he's still talking to you. So his voice sounds more and more distant as he goes. He starts to elaborate that. You are very correct about the reliquary. That is quite often items that are particularly associated with the saint, be it clothing or body parts or ashes or something like that. So you are correct, madame. Reliquaries itself, are typically works of art and usually use precious metals such as gold and platinum and are wrought with iconic imagery and often have semi-precious stones inserted into them as well. And because of that, reliquaries are actually very highly prized amongst collectors. In terms of material wealth alone, they are extraordinary. And that's due to their gold and metals and those gems, but also because of the rarity and the context. But most reliquaries now especially are protected by the church. But by the by, every now and then one gets lost. It goes astray. It gets forgotten in time. I wonder if your reliquary is one of those. And he comes back. You hear his voice getting louder as he comes back, and he has a small A4 book in his hands, and you see it, and it's old, it's tattered, it's made of vellum. And he sits down and he leafs through it. This is an accounting ledger from one of the apprentice accountants who worked for the Doge Michele Steno, and is flicking through the pages. And I'm sure in here somewhere there's a mention of a reliquary. And it kind of stops talking. It just keeps flicking through pages, and it's a good minute or two. Before it flicks the page, and goes, aha, here it is. Yes, I knew I saw something like this. The reliquary that belongs to St. Giles of the Lepers is actually the hands of St. Giles.
Their hands, how fascinating.
Yes, usually it would be but one bone, a singular bone or part of a bone. The hands themselves?
Well, the hands of the healer and so forth and so
I think you are
on.
correct. But still quite extraordinary. And he keeps flicking. As he flicks through the pages, he just talks because he's rattling this off his memory. So the Doge of Venice at the time was Michele Steno. He was Doge between 1400 to 1413. And my understanding is he kind of flicks onto another page and starts reading. He had the reliquary brought in from France, and he buried it on the island as a pious act, which is interesting. So, Doctor, you say you are a aficionado on St. Giles?
Trying to become one. Yes. I'm new to it.
For the world, what it was back then, it was incredibly well travelled. Born in Athens, Greece, of all places, around 650 AD. Travelled into northern Europe and worked in the Rhone and the Visigoth kingdom in southern France for most of his adult life. It's said that he spent his lifetime as a well-respected hermit in prayer and died in 710 AD and was buried in Septimania in southern France. So you know his patron saint of disabilities, Black Death, depression, etc. And he leans back in his chair and he's St. Giles. Where he was buried initially in southern France, it became a pilgrimage site on the way of St. James. I can't help. And he flicks over the next page. 1462, there's a note here that the relics of the saint were secretly transferred to Toulouse to protect them from the Huguenots. Interestingly, that same year, the reliquary of St. Giles was acquired by Doge Steno and transported to the Lazaro and buried under the chapel altar. Interesting. Wouldn't you agree?
So hold on, St. Giles were moved to Toulouse?
Yes, so in 1462 there was unrest around the Septimania area, which was about to be overrun by the Huguenots. So the locals would have removed the saint and transferred it somewhere safe, in this case to Toulouse, to protect the relics, given they have power reliquaries have power, saints have power. So getting your hands on them for an army is a major coup. So most times everything is done to protect those relics.
But
And
so if they were moved to Toulouse, and then the hands were moved.
It seems so. Again, not unheard of for a body to be disarticulated and dismembered and distributed. After all, many bones in one body, wouldn't you agree?
Where is Toulouse? It's Jim asking.
France.
France. Okay.
What kind of miracles were associated with St. Giles, may I ask?
Curing of the Black Death, after all. It is the patron saint of. As I said, depressions, convulsions, fevers, childhood fevers, disabilities, anything he's invoked for.
It's very interesting.
Yes, he's quite an interesting character. And the fact that there may be a reliquary of his, that's astounding. That is cataclysmic in its... A lost reliquary. Do you know how rare that is, young man? Whoever finds that reliquary would make a fortune if they sell
What
it to
if-
the right people.
Which parts, like, but not the reliquary as much as the relic, right? Like, if you say had the box, what would that? That wouldn't be worth much without the
No.
item itself.
No, it'll be like, explain.
Well, a reliquary holds, right, this holy heart of St. Giles.
Yes, usually an item is in, so your body part or whatever it may be is held inside a very ornate box, casket, file, whatever holds it. However, that is then usually encased in something else just to protect the more fragile container within it. Almost like nesting dolls in a way.
I see.
What of more folk memory or that is not sanctioned by the church, Doctor? What kind of mysterious supernatural stories does one have about St. Giles and the islands?
There aren't any.
Wow. That must
Not
be
that I'm aware of.
unusual.
I don't know. The reliquary, I think, may be at that church.
My question then is if, as you say, the church likes to consolidate these relics and protect them, if it's common or relatively common knowledge that it is under that church, would it not have been a great risk to them to have?
But I think that's it, young man. I think that's the key. It's not common knowledge. Remember, this island was the plague island. Everyone who set foot on that island died. And that includes the priests, that includes the monks. Everyone who was on that island died. The knowledge of that reliquary would have been lost, probably within 100, 200 years. It was just because I have this book, I surmise it may have been placed on that island. I cannot confirm nor deny it, but what this book suggests tells me there may be something there.
Anyone else, do you believe, Doctor, who is as well versed in the history of St. Giles as you?
No, I don't think so. Not in Venice. So why'd you ask?
Mere curiosity. I am just wondering who else. Well, I'm sure that you yourself have visited the island.
He kind of... He's not giving a straight answer to that.
Can I read him?
Quick,
You can
searching
try.
for tattoos. Has he got a black rose on him? Who do you work for?
What would that be? That
Shake
would
him
be an
violently.
observation, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, let's try and read. Okay, one success.
Start to read this
Bastard.
bastard who's
Been
been so
nothing
helpful to
but
us.
helpful. Wow.
This is the classic PC NPC relationship. The NPC is nothing but helpful, and the PCs hate them.
I know, right? You read him right clear as the book. He's been on that island. But he's also sincere. He's without guile.
Okay, so Doctor, I think it is time to speak plainly. There is a spirit, it seems, that is haunting Venice that may be related to this reliquary. We ourselves have been to the island and have found that the altar was forced open.
Really? That's where you would put a reliquary. Interesting. So
Yes.
someone's found it.
So it does seem that someone other than yourself has great knowledge of the history of St. Giles.
As I said, it's not impossible. If this information exists in this book, which is an apprenticed accountant's book from the Doge, there may be other hints of it in other official documentation. The Doge's own ledgers back in the days, his diary, it could be buried in history, but there may be little hints here and there.
But there is no one you can think of who has perhaps taken an undue interest in this of late.
I can't think of anyone, Senora.
Within the past, say, month.
No. You're the first one that's asked me about St. Giles, specifically.
I think it would actually be longer than a month, right? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's September, but yes.
But
No.
anyway, I assume about 2
3
months ago.
months.
Yeah.
3 months, damn it.
Oh, 3 months. Yes, of course. A bunch of treasure hunters came through asking about it. I just forgot to mention it.
Oh. No, guys, I'm sorry. I cannot help you.
You've already helped us quite a lot.
You have helped us immensely, and we are very, very thankful. We are just concerned that whoever broke the altar open perhaps released something unintended that was also contained within.
That is the case. Then maybe putting it back where it belongs will recork the bottle. Signore, if I may, as I said, these things are hugely expensive. Maybe try the black market. I know there's one in Venice. I'm not familiar with it, but there would definitely be one here.
And if the reliquary were not as ornate as you believe... Never mind me, I am an old woman, I speak in
riddles and tongues,
hypotheticals.
apparently.
Because Agatha's going, okay, so the box we found was just wood, it was ornately carved, but it wasn't ornate. What the hell is going on? Where is the rest of it?
Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking that's the box that contained the box. So we're looking for a nice box.
They're looking for a fancy box.
Shall we leave it at that for tonight and we can pick this up next session?
Yeah, the only other thing I was going to say is Bennett is going to ask, does he have someone that comes and checks on him, and if not, come down to the clinic every once in a while.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. I'll bear that in mind. Cool. And I'll boot you out of the house. And I'm going to boot you out of this session. So thank you very much to Blake, Jim, and Sharon. We'll see you again next session for the next evolution of Vaesen Behind Masks. Bye.